Now it's time to learn how to insert images into your presentation. We'll start with step 54, and we're going to be doing option 1 for this video, which only covers steps 56 through 61. We will go into step 76, which tells you how to resize and move your image around. But otherwise, we're just going to be dealing with this option 1 copy-paste method. The next 2 videos will be on each of the other 2 options for inserting images into your presentation, and that's really going to be it for learning new skills for your presentations. Alright, so step 54 says move or resize your text for your title and subtitle to make room for your images. Now what this is talking about is this particular slide, your title slide. So what we can do is you can decide to put the image up here, or you can move everything up and put the image down below, or you could move the title up and your subtitle down and put it in the center. Any of those is a perfectly good option. I'll go ahead and move this up. And you do this the way we've done in other steps, where you get the 4-way arrow and then you click on the border box. Alright, so now it's selected, it's no longer a dotted line, it's a solid line, and you have those white round circles in the corners and on the sides. So now I'm going to go ahead, left click and hold, drag it up, and you want to make sure, remember with those red guidelines, you want to make sure that your box stays in the center. That's still centered, so I'm going to let go. I'm going to move this up a little higher. At this point we've sort of run out of room for the top, but you can see we're not using all of this. So I'm going to go ahead and left click and hold on this bottom white circle. Raise that up a little bit. I'm going to stop right there. Now let's move this one. Click again. It's dotted. Left click. It's solid. Left click and hold. Move it down. Keep it centered. Whoops, I got off center. And now we're back. I'll let go. And now I've just made some room to put a picture right in that center. So let's now move on to really step 56. So it says open your search engine, and that can be Google Chrome, Safari, Microsoft Edge. Any of those are fine. I have Chrome open, so I'll go ahead and do this one. So this says type the keyword for what you're looking for into the search. I'm going to go ahead and write business professor and hit enter. So these are a lot of results. You have business professor, descriptions, you have some pictures at the top. To make sure that you're only seeing pictures, come up here and click on images. Now everything is an image. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and use this one because it's a person standing up in front of a classroom, obviously teaching, and this is kind of the action picture I'd like. Alright, so that actually now puts us at step 57. Scroll through the images, find one that works for your presentation, and then when you find the image you want, right click on it. So I'm going to use this one. I'm going to right click. Step 58 says with this window open, you're going to left click on copy image. So right here, copy image. Not the address. It's important you don't accidentally click on address. That's just a URL, a web address. So we're going to left click, copy image. Alright, that's in your clipboard. Your computer has a clipboard. It's where it keeps things that you have copied. So that's now in the clipboard. So we can now, on step 59, go back to the presentation. So I'll pull up the presentation. And step 60, I have you specifically doing this step with the Control-V key. Control-V is paste. So just like we did in a previous video where it was Control and hold that down and then tap B for bold, now we're going to do Control, hold that down, and tap V for paste. Alright, so I just did that. The design ideas came up again. Don't use design ideas until you've had practice creating your own presentations. A lot of these design ideas have formatting that has some issues. Until you know how to change formatting, you really should not be using design ideas. Alright, now I'm going to resize this because this is really small. When I pasted it in, it comes in selected with that solid line, so I can just grab a corner and drag it out to make it bigger. So to make something bigger or smaller, you just left click and hold, and then drag it either up to make it taller, down to make it smaller, corners to make it taller and wider. It is important to know with these corner things that when you're doing an image, it's important to always grab from the corners. That will make sure that your image stays in proportion. It won't get super tall and skinny. It won't get really fat and short. I'll show you the correct way to do it, and then I'll show you why you don't do from the top, bottom, or sides. All right, so I'm going to grab the corner because it's an image, and I'm just going to move that out until it's a good size. Now to move it, it's still fully selected, the whole image. You know that because you've got this solid line and you've still got the circles, and when you hover over the image, it is still that four-way arrow. That tells me that I can click anywhere inside my image, left click and hold, and then I can move my mouse and drag it down. What I'm looking for is that dotted red line again, telling me it is centered. Now it's centered. I can drop it down a little bit, and then I can let go, and I know that that's good. All right, now I'm going to show you why you do not use these top, bottom, and sides for images. If I grab the side, all I'm doing is squishing that image. I'm going to do undo because I want to make sure I went back to the original proportions. Same thing with the top or bottom. You grab this, you can't go sideways, you can only go up or down. And I'm now squishing her so that she is really, really squished down. So if you especially have images with people, you don't want to change their proportions, always grab from the corner. Because no matter what happens with the corner, I'm not going to change the proportions. If I go down, she doesn't get squished. If I go across, she doesn't get like super skinny. Corners will make sure that that image stays in proportion. By the way, I don't know if you noticed, when I came way down here, the image flipped. You can do image flipping just with your mouse. You get to that line and you go beyond it, and the image goes into mirror image. I'm going to just put this back to the way it was. And that's how you add an image. All right, if you want to add a drop shadow to your image or even a bevel, there are a couple of different ways to do that. So remember, we did the drop shadow with our text, and I also demonstrated a bevel on the title slide. So what you want to do is you want to click on your image because the buttons you want to see don't show up if you don't have it clicked. So I click on that, and this time when I clicked on it, it brought me to picture format. Now let me unclick on that and watch what happens with picture format. It disappears, so you don't even see it if you're not selected. So I'm going to go ahead and click on it again, and there's picture format. And what we're looking for is picture effects. Now there is a way to see that same ability from the Home tab, because sometimes when you click on it, it'll stay on the Home tab, but these buttons will show up. This is the exact same thing. See this icon right here, this sort of 3D box with some shadowing? That is your shape effects. If we go back to the picture format tab, see the box, 3D box with the shadowing, picture effects. It's two different places to see the same thing. Now you can either choose one of these styles that's in the picture styles box. There are a lot of different options, or you can do it manually. We'll go ahead and do it manually this time. So let's go ahead to shadow and choose that drop shadow that I like so much. All right, I'm going to go ahead and make that a little bit more obvious. Shadow, just like you did with the text, shadow options. And let's go ahead and make that transparency a little less transparent. Size 100 is fine. I'm going to add some distance to it. That just makes it a little farther away from the box, and now I can see it a little bit better. All right, I like that. And I think I'm going to add a bevel just because I often like bevels. That's a good one. I may come back to that. Yeah, I think I like this one. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that bevel. All right, and so now this picture has sort of a bevel around the outside, so it's a little rounded on the corners and on the sides, and it has that drop shadow I like. All right, so that is how you add an image through just the copy-paste method.